Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we take a look at the astrological energies from December 16th until the 23rd. We have a lot shifting and changing over this next week, and we're going to be talking about what those energies are and how you may be experiencing them. One of the overarching themes right now is that energy is rising up. We are rising up. And it could be that you're getting clearer messages from the depths of your soul, or even from a particular chakra, if that is your root chakra, your heart chakra, your throat chakra. There's energy rising now. And it's showing you how to move forward. In fact, it's requiring movement. It's requiring inspired actions. And it's also showing up as new solutions, new possibilities, and new potentials. It's very dynamic. So we're going to be talking about all of this in today's show. We're going to see over the next week the Sun and Mercury both entering Capricorn on December 21st. And on that same day, we also have the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction in Aquarius. Over the next week, we also have Saturn re-entering Aquarius. And that is re-entering because Saturn originally entered Aquarius back in March of 2020. And now Saturn moves in and stays in the 11th sign. We're also going to see Jupiter enter Aquarius over the next week. And we're also going to have the third and final square between Mars in Aries and Pluto in Capricorn. On top of all that, we also have Mercury and the Sun conjunct the Galactic Center at 27 degrees of Sagittarius. So there's a lot happening. There's a lot of movement. There's a lot shifting. You could be feeling this physically and energetically. You could have a hard time sleeping, or you could feel very motivated to move your body. There's just a lot coming through right now, and it could be hard to feel settled or grounded. It could feel like you're buzzing or that there's just more you want to do. There can also be a lot happening in the mind. If you're looking for solutions, if you're looking for ways to move forward, to take next steps. So again, very active, buzzy energy that is designed to move us forward, but it could be something that you have to manage or harness to work with it effectively. So let's start by looking at the personal planets, which are Mercury, Venus, and Mars, and they are all in fire signs right now. Venus just entered Sagittarius, and in Sagittarius, she's looking for the higher meaning of her experiences. What have I been learning? What has this been showing me? What has been coming up in my life that I can use positively? Venus in Sagittarius likes to have a good time. She likes to have fun, laugh, release, explore, very independent. So when you take this energy alongside Mercury and the Sun in Sag, we are really wanting to understand what the bigger lessons have been of this year. What has been coming up as your new truth? Something that you can't deny in yourself, a feeling, an understanding, something that's been showing you more of who you are, the truth of who you are. And this can show up as hard truths, meaning those uncomfortable messages or those uncomfortable parts of ourselves that we weren't aware of just yet. But the energy of Sagittarius wants us to keep learning, to have a deeper understanding of who we are, of our energy, and what matters to us now. So with these three planets in Sagittarius, we're looking for what is being revealed to me that actually supports me in moving forward. We also have Mars in Aries, and this is the energy of forward movement, of wanting to take those next steps. However, this Mars in Aries is coming up against the third and final square to Pluto in Capricorn at 23 degrees. The third and final square is typically showing us what has been experienced, how you've learned to manage a part of your life that maybe hasn't been moving forward as fast as you want it to. There's been frustration, delays, you've had to wait. Things haven't been progressing perhaps in the way that you want them to. But when Pluto, the planet of transformation and evolution, interacts with a personal planet, especially Mars, this is a reprogramming. This is where that Mars in Aries has been stripped bare, vulnerable and raw and had to remove parts of the ego that were maybe too big or too much, too selfish, too impatient. And this Pluto is saying that it wasn't time yet. There was more work to be done. Because Pluto in Capricorn has been requiring the deep work, the deeper understanding. So this energy blasting at this impatient Mars in Aries has meant that we haven't been operating on our ideal timeline, but we are processing and moving through fears, doubts, energies at a deeper level that the soul has been holding. So if you can look at this square between Mars and Pluto as something that's been working in your favor, especially at a soul level, that can help with the acceptance of timing, the acceptance of the work that's been required of you, and that it's okay when you're not in control, so to speak, when you don't feel like you're in control. You can tap into the bigger evolutionary picture, which is showing you that the removal has been necessary. And it's like this removal of, I'm feeling it as these root chakra fears, our fears of survival, our fears of acceptance, our fears of being seen for who we really are. There's something deeper that's been needing your attention so that it can be reprogrammed. Now, this Mars in Aries begins a 2-year cycle, as Mars takes 2 years to journey through all 12 astrological signs. And it's been preparing you for the new start, the next steps, and the new beginning. But the discomfort has maybe thrown you off in some manner. As Mars gets to 24 degrees of Aries next week, we'll call it December 24th, 25th, 26th, there is a release here from the struggle. And if you can look at what you've changed permanently since August, what you've had to hold back on, where you've had to restrain yourself, or you've had to manage your ego, you've had to look at your fears, you've had to look at something unconscious in yourself, this Pluto energy has been assisting in transforming it, although it probably hasn't been enjoyable or pleasant at times because it creates a power struggle. And this is a good way actually to look at this next week, is that we are shifting into a new consciousness of self. Your new self-consciousness, which is connected to your future self, is rising up. And the future self is simply an energy on a different timeline. And it's being co-created in every moment, meaning the future self is not a set definition. It's rather an energy field. It's rather, if you were to put together the highest possible consciousness of your choices, of your intentions, of what you want, what you desire, the big dream, the ideal outcome, the best possible scenario, this is what your future self can literally embody. But the interesting part of this energy is that the future self can shift and change form based on what you shift or change in the present. And so we're always influencing energies. And what I'm seeing is that the more you stay strong and clear in what you want, in what you're moving towards, in what you're creating now in this moment, it supports that future self energy in strengthening those same intentions. And there's an energy here where you might feel pulled back into something. I'm seeing a rubber band that like whiplashes you back into a lesson, healing, situation, conversation, something that you've been perhaps wrapping up or finishing up. And it's like you get pulled back into that exact same situation. And now you're being asked to look at, how would I handle this when I'm working with the truth of who I am now, when I've learned a lot, when I've understood more of what I want, what I need, when I'm aware of my own patterns, I've met more of my unconscious self, I've met more of my fears. How am I going to handle this present day situation in a new and different way, even though you could literally be arguing with your ego. And I'm going to say your false ego or your unhealthy ego, the parts of ourselves that are connected to the shadow energies, where you could literally be arguing with, well, this is what I want to say, or this is what I want to do. But your future self, which is of a higher consciousness, is basically saying, stand strong in this new version of who you are. Stand strong in what your truth is now, and how far you've come, in what you've healed. Don't allow that rubber band whiplash to pull you back to a lower place in yourself that you're truly done with. Now, these kinds of lessons and tests and energies come up before we make these big shifts, before we move fully and solidly into the next energy. And so there can be tests this week, especially around what you've really come to understand about yourself and who you are. And then something comes up and is asking you to make a choice. And the choice is, are you going to choose who you were, or are you going to choose who you're becoming? The energies that you're focused on developing, growing, and strengthening. And again, this can be difficult if you're really triggered by someone, if you have a lot of karma with them, if they really get to you and it's like they walk in the door and all of a sudden you just want to be in your shadow energy, or you just want to be in that place of these. It's like a false dynamic, a false power dynamic, where you're thinking, oh, I have to do this in order to be in control or to win. Or there's just these energy cycles that can happen with certain people in our lives. And this is a week to be very conscious of what you say, what you do, and what you choose. Because even if you were to go back to a previous version of yourself, I feel like what happens next is that you become your own reprimanding teacher, where you're like, I shouldn't have handled it that way. I knew better. I shouldn't have said that. I could have done that differently. I've learned this lesson. I'm just going to go sit in the corner and give myself a timeout because I know I'm better than that now. I know that's not who I am anymore. So it's interesting how even if you were to go back to a previous version of yourself, you could even self-correct pretty quickly and be like, all right, okay, yeah, I'm really done with that. I don't want to participate in that way. I can't believe I said that. That's not who I am anymore. It's like we have the capacity now to self-correct because this energy of the future self, so to speak, is very strong. And it's definitely connected to these Aquarius energies that are coming in over the next week. So there is this energy of graduation and mastery, which I've been talking about in a number of podcast episodes now. And it's showing you the reality of who you are and how you want to show up, and how you want to show up in strength, self-respect, and personal integrity for yourself. So Saturn is leaving Capricorn as I do this podcast. As I do this podcast right now, Saturn has just entered Aquarius again. And this is the energy of mental clarity, where there can be this new awareness of what matters to you and what's real to you. And what I'm seeing is a whiteboard being erased. And it's sort of like, there was all this stuff on the whiteboard, all these notes and words and formulas and things that have been in our minds and really full and perhaps very heavy and almost like these equations, like mathematical equations that couldn't be solved. Saturn in Aquarius, followed by Jupiter in Aquarius, wiping all that clean, where it's no longer, the mental burdens are not the same. They're being wiped out. And I'm just feeling this at a very energetic level, because this Aquarius energy wants us to see things differently, wants us to understand it from a new vantage point, and it brings in these new energies to put the pieces together or to understand more of what's really been going on. Because the intensity of Capricorn energy has required a lot from us. We've been really focused on the real world, the physical world, what's in front of us, choices we have to make, commitments, responsibilities, everything that we have participated in shows up in Capricorn. It is the third and final earth sign in the zodiac. And the third and final earth sign is a culmination of energies. And this is where karma shows up. This is where consequences show up. So the third and final earth sign is showing you how you've created your life and what you've done up to this point to create your life. Now as the energies move into Aquarius, the third and final air sign, we're looking at new ways of understanding and conceptualizing what is possible with the life we've created. So the transition from Capricorn to Aquarius energies is about what you didn't realize before, what you didn't think about before. What are some new ways of taking those same energies, formulas, thoughts, and basically shaking them up and reconceptualizing them, reprogramming them. And I also feel like part of this shift with the Saturn and Jupiter into Aquarius is that it brings in new energies from other sources in other galaxies and other timelines. These energies stream through and they give us those aha understandings. They give us a sense of, I didn't see that before. I didn't understand it in that way before. There's mental breakthroughs. There's a new way to understand what is possible, and it wasn't possible to understand it before. So as I said, Saturn was in Aquarius from March until early July of this year. And it gave us some new awakenings into the world, where we're going, what we want, what's changing permanently in our lives, because Saturn will bring in these reality checks. Now we have Jupiter coming in, and Jupiter brings in the opportunities to make those changes and the ease at which it can be done. So Jupiter in Aquarius is going to open us up to more ways of accelerating to solutions. That's what I'm seeing this as. I'm seeing this as the acceleration of things changing based on what you've learned this year, based on what you've healed, what you've come to understand about yourself, also based on your ownership of your choices, your ownership of your patterns, of your healing journey, ownership over all of your energy, the full domain of your life. And then this Jupiter in Aquarius, it's very sparkly. It has a lot of like effervescence to it. And it comes through and says, great, now take this and it's going to be magical. It also feels like this is where we accelerate to the next phase of our life, where if you've arrived at an understanding of what you want, a new purpose or a rejuvenated sense of purpose, if you are actually still trying to figure out a purpose or what your soul work is or what your soul mission is, this energy is going to support that as well. It's going to support it through the things that come to your awareness that energize you, that have you thinking in new ways. So this is a beginning point energy. And that's very strong over this next week, because not only do we have the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction at 0 degrees of Aquarius on December 21st, we also have the Sun and Mercury in Capricorn at 0 degrees together on December 21st. So December 21st is a very big day. It has a lot of energy with it around beginnings. It is the solstice, where the sun enters Capricorn every year. But what makes it incredibly rare is that at the same time, Jupiter and Saturn are conjunct at 0 degrees, really amplifying this energy of newness, of something fresh, of a beginning point. Now keep in mind that the outer planets, such as Jupiter and Saturn, can make a conjunction at any degree point. It doesn't have to be 0, but the fact that it's 0 really adds emphasis to the newness coming through and is really supporting you in your next chapter, your new start, and where you're going. So pay attention to what has been rising up in you. And make the most of these energies in Sagittarius as well. So the Sun and Mercury will be in Sagittarius until December 21st. And Venus has just entered Sagittarius on December 15th. And the Sagittarius energies are showing you where you're inspired, what matters to you, where you're feeling that next call of your soul, where you want to take action and move ahead. So this is very dynamic energies. We can also feel new wisdom rising up around our life's journey. What you've been healing this lifetime, what you've been learning, how you've been growing. There can be a new awareness around these bigger life lessons, the unconscious belief patterns or belief systems, the unconscious parts of ourselves that we're operating at a certain level that probably relates to childhood survival tactics, whether that is in this lifetime or other lifetimes. There could be something that you've come to understand about your masculine energy and your feminine energies, if they're in balance, if they work together, what that is like for you, especially through your experiences of relationships. There could be energies coming up around power dynamics within families or in the workplace, especially where the structure or the hierarchy is often very clear, and it sets up energies that we then use in other areas of our lives. So these are just a few examples, but there's something really important about this next week that we're meant to be listening and hearing these messages in a very open manner. The other energy I'm feeling very strongly around Jupiter and Saturn at 0 degrees and the Sun and Mercury at 0 degrees is that soul contracts are being cleared out. And this goes back to seeing the whiteboard being erased. There are certain contracts here at 0 degrees of Aquarius and 0 degrees of Capricorn that are completing, that are over, that are ending. And you maybe have been feeling it. You've been sensing it. It could be something too that energetically you've been resisting or not sure if that's really the case. But what I'm feeling is that there is a necessity right now to move forward, to move on to the next chapter of your life, where there can be new agreements, new contracts in place with those of a similar frequency and vibration that also feels like you no longer need to repeat lessons, patterns, and cycles. And so there's a changeover here. And this is the changeover of people in your life. Aquarius is the friends, acquaintances, people we know, our tribes, those we've held soul contracts with for lifetimes. And this is all changing over. There can be a freedom here. There can be a release. There can be a sense of I'm no longer tethered and tied to certain people or certain experiences, certain workplaces. There's a freedom here that's coming through. And the other thing that's happening, because it's such an action-packed week, is that the Sun and Mercury are both conjunct the Galactic Center on December 19th. So let's look at this progressively. When they are conjunct the Galactic Center at 27 degrees of Sagittarius on December 19th, that's where we receive new energies, new awareness, and cosmic understandings of ourselves at a soul level. This is very high vibrating energies that are speaking to you through energy. And it's like there's a sense of what you want to move towards or where you feel yourself gravitating to a different area of your life. It's like this energetic push that comes through. And then a few days later on December 21st, it feels like there's a deeper clearing out of energies. The whiteboard is being wiped clean so that you can start or begin something in a way that really honors your own authority over your life. All of this relates to the deep clearing work and the deep cleansings we've been doing. We just had the Sagittarius solar eclipse conjunct the South Node in Sagittarius. Big endings, karmic release, things over. There really is a sense of, okay, this is done for me. And then when we understand it at a higher level, the new energies come in, the higher understandings about what you've been learning, what you've been experiencing, and the wisdom to be gained from it. Now, one of the things that has been coming up at this time in my own world is that I've been talking with some of my closest friends about ultimatums. We've been talking about the energy of ultimatums, where you reach a culmination point, and then someone could say to you, and give you an ultimatum of take it or leave it, right? Or it's either this or it's that. It's either we're going to do this or it's over. And it's like this very hard energy, abrasive. It has an edge to it. The ultimatums also are typically rooted in power and control dynamics, meaning these are your two choices. And the person presenting those two choices is the one choosing those two choices, right? They're saying you can have an apple or you can have a banana. But you can't have a grape, you can't have an orange, you can only have an apple or a banana. So the ultimatums are a way of maintaining control or power in a situation, but they never get to the heart of the need. What is the need? The driving need? What is the driving intention? When you remove the power dynamics, when you remove the control or the manipulation that applies pressure on someone to make a choice, what is left is probably something vulnerable or scary. There's probably an unconscious fear operating behind the ultimatum. So for example, if someone's requiring you to make a choice about the direction of a relationship or what you should do in your career, what you can do is step back and look at, what do I need? Because an ultimatum is often an unhealthy dynamic that doesn't honor the true need, the true desires, the true feeling. Because again, someone is presenting you choices, but what if you don't want either of those choices? And so what is happening here is that when you go into what you truly need and what you really want, what your intention is, what your desire is, when you step away from that ultimatum dynamic, you're going to get to the truth of what you're about, of what speaks to you, of where you want to go. And it might not be that you want anything that they're saying you have to choose. And we were talking about this in the context of relationships, in fact. And, there's a time in my life when someone was like, well, you can choose this or you can choose that. And my choice was, well, I choose me. I choose option 3, which I will choose in my power, and I'm not going to be pressured into choosing anything that is disrespectful, that doesn't honor me, that doesn't value me. No, I'm not playing. I'm not playing that game. So you might be forced to make a choice and to choose yourself, and it can feel perhaps scary at first, but then ultimately there's a lot of freedom and there's a lot of support. And that could be one of the tests that comes up over this energy cycle, because the energies are so strong and not everyone's ready for change. Not everyone is ready to move forward or to graduate, so to speak. Everyone has their different ways of moving through these energies at different levels of consciousness. That is their free will, that is their sovereignty, and that is never for us to judge, because we don't know their full story, including what they're learning in this lifetime, and we don't know everything about their soul's journey. That isn't for us to know. What is for us to know is who you are, what you need, what you're about, and to stay in your power. So ultimatums can be very strong at this time when people are looking to remain in their power, remain in control of a situation, perhaps want to pressure you into doing something in order to avoid parts of themselves or to not look at some of their own stuff. So just be aware of what you're choosing and be aware of your intention. And also, it might really help to connect to your future self, your future dream, your future job, your future direction. Whatever you're dreaming about and creating now, allow that to guide your decision making. I also feel like there's a really strong connection right now to the heart chakra. And when I see this energy of a future self, I feel it, I'm going to say corded or tied and tethered to the heart. because a lot of energies that have changed for us this year have brought us into the heart's needs, the heart's desires. And it's almost like the heart energy feels very strong right now, stronger than it's ever been, stronger than other energy points. It's like the heart just feels very big right now in a beautiful way, in a strengthening way. So you could visualize for yourself perhaps your heart chakra being strongly connected to your future self and where you're going, and allowing that to guide you. And then it also feels like it can guide you through any of these energies of choices or ultimatums. And it's just interesting to me that even the concept of ultimatums is coming up so strongly right now, because it's actually a really funny word. Nothing is ultimate. Everything is changing. Everything is going to shift. Everything is going to keep moving forward. The energy will continue to change and evolve. And the pressure of an ultimatum can be a mind game where it appears that you don't have other choices, or that there's a removal of other actions or directions. So just to be aware of that, because there's something here where as we shift timelines, as we move into new experiences, chances are there's something that only you can see for yourself, and that you might need to be choosing yourself regardless of what's presented in front of you. Whether there's, 5 choices or 2 choices or whatever it might be. I feel like the choices that are coming through, there could be many that are limiting. There could be many that are, been there, done that. But there's this birthing energy coming in of new that is uncertain, or you're not sure how it's going to play out, or you don't have all the details, all the steps. But that's where the higher potentials are, the new manifestations, the new miracles, where things can accelerate. Again, this new path has a lot of promise. It has a lot of, I'm seeing like a golden energy, but there's also the white, crystalline, very clear, beautiful essence to it. It's like there's these openings that we haven't had before. And yes, they're uncertain, and it's maybe not fully clear, or you don't feel fully confident, but it's part of this energetic push to move you into it just looks like the next set of dreams. Or maybe the dreams that have been on the back burner, or the parts of yourself that you weren't fully tapped into. Now there's this strengthening and opening into those parts of yourself, because also this Aquarius energy is about your unique self. It's about how you are an individual. No one else is like you. No one else holds the same energy that you hold. And as you step into that and honor it for yourself, you're opening up to more of the unique potentials that are available to you based on how far you've come, based on what you've learned, based on what you've shifted, transformed, and changed. So there's a lot here about something beginning and choosing yourself. This can also be part of the Mars in Aries squaring Pluto in Capricorn, where there's something you want to do independently, but you've been tied to other commitments, to other responsibilities. Perhaps there's something that is completing, and it's just taking forever to complete. It's not moving along as quickly as you'd like. But there's an energy here that you're moving through it at such a deep level. I mean, again, this feels like it's across multiple lifetimes. It feels like it is tied to some very deep soul contracts, and those are being wiped clean. They're just over. Like there's not energy to sustain them going forward. And so this is where, again, the ultimatums can come up. And this could even be something that you're telling yourself, where you're thinking, oh, I only have 2 choices here. I either have to do this or do this, go left, go right. And what I'm seeing is like, you don't want to go left or right, you want to go up. It's like an on-ramp. And so open up your energy to the point where you can see or understand that there are higher paths that you can travel that are going to help lift you out of some of the energies of this year, but also remind you that you're made to keep going. That you're designed energetically to step into new energies, that we are always birthing, we are always emerging, we are always becoming and transforming. we can shut that down. We can resist it. We can be afraid. We can have any number of reasons why we don't always trust this experience. But we are designed to energetically keep creating and co-creating. And this is a pivotal week for doing so. I have a few charts for you on YouTube that talk about the energy of the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction on December 21st. I also have a video for you about the Capricorn solstice as the Sun enters Capricorn also on December 21st. So I don't want to repeat myself too much here, but the understanding that I'm feeling is that we really are meant to move forward. We're really meant to move on from something. There is this energy here that, of course, we've all been changed permanently this year. There's a lot about what has happened in 2020 that is really to our benefit, that's meant to support us in what we're here to do in this lifetime. I'm also hearing and feeling that you can't really do it wrong, meaning if something is still tethering you or holding you back, it could be that the energies are going to shift for you in January, February, March. The energies are working with us all at a very individual level. But the overall arching sense of this time is that we are moving into new terrain that is divinely supported, and parts of yourself are already in that future reality. And we say future, even though time is always happening now and that the timelines are always very much overlapping and all working together. But this is a time to really get that clarity on what matters to you at this point in your life, where you're ready to make some new, fresh choices, where you're ready to see something from a higher vantage point, where you're also open to trusting the energetic push that you're feeling or that you're receiving, and also that you're connected to the heart and what your heart is saying to you about what you deserve, what you're worthy of, what you want to feel, what you're ready to receive, and how you want to live your life. So a lot of very powerful energies, and it's the burst of movement that perhaps you've even been waiting for. Also important to note that now that Chiron has stationed direct as of December 15th, all planets are direct except Uranus. Uranus will station direct at 6 degrees of Taurus in the middle of January. So we have a lot that's really showing us it's time for the new. It's time for the next chapter, and it's also time to trust what you want and what you need, regardless of outside opinions or unsolicited advice or what others might be telling you, or where you may have someone showing up saying, well, that's right or that's wrong. All of these would be the lower octaves of Sagittarius energy. What you want to do is source it from within. Source it from within that this is what I know is true for me. This is the energy that speaks to me. This is what I need at this time to honor myself, to love myself, to trust myself, and to move ahead based on those energies. So a lot is happening over this next week. Take very good care of yourself, of your energy, of your body. Do what you need to do to be able to rest, because it could be hard to sleep. There's a lot going on in the ethers. There's a lot happening in other dimensions as these turnovers occur. There's a lot of movement, and it could be too that you just find yourself needing to move, needing to physically move in order to process this energy. You'll also find more videos on YouTube about these specific energies. You can look under the 2021 playlist. And then, of course, I also have the full astrology of 2021 in the 2021 Soul Growth Astrology program. The coupon code expires December 31st. So you want to use coupon code 2021 to get the full program at a discount. And this is designed to help you see how the energies of the year ahead are going to be working with you. What's going to be showing up. I go through 6 individual webinars, including one on the 4 eclipses and the Saturn-Uranus squares that happen 3 times. This is actually the biggest energy of 2021, these 3 squares, and we go through what that looks like. and what's going to be changing at an individual and collective level. So as always, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate your time, energy, and presence. I will be back on Monday for another podcast episode. I will be doing episodes throughout the rest of December, so I will not be taking any time off from the podcast. I hope they continue to support you in what you need right now. And in the meantime, I wish you a beautiful journey as we move through these big energies and experience some significant shifts. You can find out more about me at mollymccord.online or over at consciouscoolchic.com, which is my author website. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you back here soon.